Welcome to Isla Nublar, an island off the coast of Costa Rica. Billionaire industrialist John Hammond has leased the island as the home of his new state-of-the-art theme park, for which he spared no expense. Utilizing cloning technology, Hammond has resurrected 15 species of dinosaurs, including Brontosaurus, Triceratops, Velociraptor, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex. To sign off on the park, Hammond brings 3 scientists and his own grandchildren to see his creations. But a freak storm and a disgruntled employee caused the safety features to fail and the dinosaurs to run amok in the 1993 sci-fi adventure classic Jurassic Park. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And I'm Caleb Leger.
You are listening to Filmgazm. Happy Wednesday and welcome to the 129th episode of the Filmgazm podcast. I'm here with our newest podcast team member, Filmgazm co-founder Caleb Leger, who chose this film because it is his favorite film ever. Very excited to dig into this one. Before we get started, let's check into what we got for the rewind. I have 2 updates for you today. One that updates episode 101, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and one that updates 2 episodes, 106 on Saw and last week's 128 on Leprechaun.
You had me for the first 2, and then you said Leprechaun, but go on.
I think you might. I'm interested to see what you have to say about this, honestly. First up, producer Fede Alvarez, who is producing the upcoming Texas Chainsaw sequel that's going to be a direct continuation of the first film, said that he plans to bring back original film survivor Sally Hardesty. She will, of course, be recast as Marilyn Burns died in 2014. So this film is ramping up production. It's becoming more and more interesting what this vision is going to entail. Bringing back Sally, I think, is a great way to ground itself in the original's kind of same vein. What do you think?
I think what I've been hearing about this movie so far has been really excited. I know Texas Chainsaw 3D attempted the whole sequel to the original to really bad results, but it seems like they're doing this right. I know he talked about having an old man's Leatherface to again keep that continuity, practical effects heavy because of his work on Evil Dead. So that has me really excited. And I agree. I think getting the character of Sally back helps a lot. I mean, unfortunately, yeah, we can't get Marilyn Burns because of her passing, but to bring the character back and to find an actress that can do it still, I think is really helping that connective tissue and really saying that, yes, this is a direct sequel to the horror classic that you guys have loved for decades. So I'm excited. I'm pumped. I love what Fede Alvarez has done so far, and I cannot wait to see what he does with this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're copying, the Halloween thing that's worked out so well for that franchise, and I would love to see a lot of, I'd love to see a Nightmare on Elm Street direct sequel with older Nancy dealing with trauma. So I think this will be cool to see how they handle these characters. And I can't wait.
Yeah, it easily currently one of my most anticipated horror films coming out.
Oh, hell yeah. Next up, Saw franchise director Darren Bousman, who is currently helming the new film Spiral, has expressed interest in doing a Leprechaun reboot if this film is successful. What do you think of that?
Oh, God. Well, on one hand, I kind of wish there weren't any more Leprechaun movies. But on the other hand, I think if anyone could do it, it would be him. I personally actually really like his Saw sequels he directed. I think he went up to Saw 4. And personally, I liked all 3 that he did a lot. I'm very excited for the upcoming Spiral, whenever that's supposed to come out. And I think he'll be able to, probably better than most directors, balance what the original kind of pulled off with the humor and the horror. And obviously he'll be able to add a lot more gore to it because of his time with the Saw franchise.
I wonder if do you think there's anything in Leprechaun that could work? Do you think there's a really freaky horror movie in there somewhere?
I don't know, because I've seen the ones where they've tried that and it didn't work.
Sure, but I feel like no one's ever really tried hard enough, This film franchise has kind of just been like an afterthought to everyone who's touched it.
God. I think honestly though, but I think that's why having him do it and expressing interest might be the best thing. Because he clearly wants to do it. It's something he wants to do. So he would probably, I feel like, get a good writer on board if he doesn't just write it himself and figure out a way to finally make this something that even people that don't really like this franchise can get behind. And he knows, maybe be like the first the Leprechaun since what, the first one that gets a theatrical release. Maybe.
He it is, he's got the street cred to back it up. He like you said, he expressed interest. So maybe he is the guy who could revive the Leprechaun franchise. Wow.
Oh, God, you know what? We're getting so many horror movies that I didn't think were happening. So you know what? Bring on Leprechaun, I guess.
We're in the middle of a reboot era, with Halloween and Candyman and upcoming Texas Chainsaw and Evil Dead. Like we're in a bubble right now.
Yeah, it's honestly like, don't get me wrong, like I'm super pumped for the Stephen King, for what we've been going through, that Stephen King renaissance, and I'm excited for his movies. But you've known me for a long time when it comes to my slashers and like that early 2000s like extreme horror. I am so excited to see this slasher revival happen and get all these guys, especially as someone who didn't, obviously I was born in 92, so I didn't get CDs in theaters. So having that opportunity, like the excitement I felt when I got to go see Halloween 2018 in theaters and say, I got to see Michael Myers on the big screen. Like I got to say that. And, hopefully if two old dudes get their head out of their asses, I can say the same thing about Jason Voorhees at some point in my life. But that, I'm pumped. I'm pumped with that. I am pumped with the TV shows, like the Child's Play TV show, the Hellraiser TV show. I can't remember I think Clive Barker is more heavily involved with that, or the movie. I forget which one he's heavily involved with. So I'm really excited on this revival on the cusp on. Just, give me Friday 13th also, just saying.
Those are two guys who never learned to share. I mean, that's basic shit when you're a child, and they missed it.
Yeah. Well, and what's sad is that the writer started out in the right. He was just utilizing a law that was put in place. And Cunningham wants to be greedy because that's his most profitable franchise he has under his belt and doesn't want to share. And it's like, dude, come on. He wrote you the first movie. He's the writer for the first movie. I was like, I know how this movie got made. You just put out a poster with a title. He actually wrote it.
I think at this point, somebody would have just said, like, guys, just stop. Like, why hasn't this been thrown out by a judge or just something?
I don't know. And it's funny, 'cause I remember when me and Josh went to Crypticon, we met the actresses from Friday 13th Part 1 and 2, the two leads, Adrienne King and Amy Steele. And they mentioned it too, because we went to a little panel they were at, and they were like, yeah, if these two old guys would just get their head out of their asses, hopefully you guys can get a Friday 13th movie again. But I mean, with that said, if anyone cares, check out some of the fan films that are coming out. There are some really awesome fan films coming out. Never Hike Alone is one I watched. It has a sequel, Never Hike in the Snow, that I want to check out. The Part 6's Jason, CJ Graham, he was partaking in a fan film as Jason because I mean, if they're not going to hurry up and get done with this, the fans are like, well, we'll make fucking movies. We'll do it because we want to see this. So there's some good fan films I definitely recommend checking out until we can get an official movie.
That's great. I love that fans are taking matters into their own hands. In regards to Halloween, I got to see that at the Draft House, and they went all out on Halloween. I was still working there at the time, and we had one of the managers dress up as Michael and hide around the lobby. And he scared the shit out of me many times because he did not break character his entire shift. It was remarkable. And before every showing, at least for the first week or so, there would be a little like Halloween is back pre-show thing. And the lights would go out in the theater, and a spotlight would hit the front of the theater, and Michael would be standing there under the screen. The music would cut, he'd disappear, and the movie would start.
Oh,
It was nice.
oh, that's awesome. And
It was,
that's
the whole time I was thinking like Caleb would love this.
I would have been in heaven. And well, and that's where like it sometimes bugs me when people like want to down horror. Cause I'm like, yeah, you got your event movies like your Marvel films that come out all the time. But horror, like there are some horror movies that can be event films, and Halloween is one of them. Like when you get these icons
Yeah.
back on the screen, you can make that event because people are excited. People are like, "Oh my god, we are getting a new Halloween. We're getting a new Child's Play or whatever we're getting, right?" And it can make it this big event film, and it can be a huge thing for the fans and for people that may have parents that grew up with it. They're now introducing their kids to it.
I mean, there's a reason these characters in these films have lasted 30, 40 years. I mean, these guys are as ingrained into pop culture as Marvel and DC. Like these are, to a lot of people, I think to you, these guys are superheroes.
Yeah.
And seeing them is an event. It's something you count down to. It's something you look forward to. Like I'm in the same boat, man. Halloween was one of my most anticipated films of 2018. I could not wait. I saw it opening night. I got my shift covered so I could see that. Like I was very much excited, and
Yeah.
I love that. I missed that, and I can't wait to have it again.
Oh, I can't wait. Whichever next one comes out with like the 10 or so that were announced, but I'll be excited for whenever I know which one's coming out first. Ray, it's looking it might be Scream 5 or the fuck they're calling it. But yeah, I mean, I'll be excited. I felt that excited for Halloween. I felt when they did the Evil Dead reboot, I remember getting really pumped after seeing that red band and going, "Oh my god, I cannot wait for this. Evil Dead is back." And
I love a good horror movie. I think the next one we are going to get for sure in the current calendar is Candyman.
Candyman. Oh, that got to this year, isn't it?
Yeah, that's been pushed a few times. I think right now it's looking like June or October. I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully, yeah. I do want. I was really pumped when I saw the trailer before it got delayed. I was like, dude, this looks good because I like the first. I have not seen the 2 sequels yet, so no one judge me. I've sat through some pretty bad sequels my time, so but the first one's awesome. Tony Todd, awesome. And I remember when I saw that trailer for this and having Jordan Peele's name attached, I was like, this is gonna be good. This will be a good Candyman.
Just using Destiny's Child's "Say My Name" was so smart. Just the trailer was a work of art. I'm pumped for Candyman.
Dude, the song and then that little scene when he's walking near the car and you see Tony Todd as Candyman and he's talking and the voice, I'm like, oh my god.
Damn. He is Candyman. No one else could ever fill those shoes. It's just he's the best.
It will be what he is remembered for.
Oh hell yeah. I have tried to do the OG Candyman on this show so many times because I want to time it with the release of the new one. So I keep scheduling it, and then the new one keeps getting pushed, and I keep having to push that. So eventually we will do Candyman. It's not up to me.
Yeah. After sitting through our 6 wrong turn movies for the website, I'm really glad they did not delay the new movie numerous times. Because, dear God, the pain.
I just, I'm hoping that by the time the country figures out what it needs to figure out with the vaccination, that we'll be able to, all the release dates will be able to just stay fixed, and we can go back to doing what we love.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get that. I know at my the Walmart near me, they were advertising that they had the vaccine. The idea was make an appointment with their pharmacy. So again, somewhere, hopefully.
They kind of technical employee of Texas State University. I'm an instructional assistant. Mm-hmm. I might be able to get the vaccine as well.
Oh, okay.
So I'm hoping. Yeah. So what is it about Jurassic Park that resonates with you so much? I know you're a huge, huge fan of this movie.
Yeah. So, when I was a kid, my parents, the way their VHS collection was set up was that all the movies I couldn't watch, like Tombstone, Forrest Gump, like all that stuff, Saving Private Ryan, was in the back. And they would put all the stuff I could watch up front. And somehow Jurassic Park and its sequel made the cut. And they put that up front. And I remember as a kid, I would wear those two tapes out. It was literally, I would put the first one in, finish it either that day or the next day, second one, and just rotate constantly to the point where my parents could not watch these movies for a while.
That's awesome. Jurassic Park was your Back to the Future. I did the same shit.
Yeah. It just I loved it. I had it times when I knew when the T-Rex was coming out and everything. Like I loved it. And I think now that I'm older and I can have coherent thoughts about it, for me, there's two sides of Spielberg, right? There's the Oscar worthy, his Schindler's List, serious Save Private Ryan type of Spielberg, which is really good Spielberg, don't get me wrong. But then there's the other side, and the one that I like a lot more, the fun Spielberg, the Jaws, the E.T., Indiana Jones, more recently with Ready Player One. That's Spielberg that I like, and that's what this one obviously falls under, where he does such a great job of reeling you in with the awe of what you're seeing. For the characters, right, they're seeing dinosaurs again. For us, we're seeing dinosaurs again through expert use of puppetry and CGI that is aged incredibly well. And you get that awe, you get that sense of like, oh my God, I'm seeing dinosaurs before he quickly turns it halfway through the movie. And, everyone's screaming and running and all that stuff. And you're still in. Like, it's not like a turn where you're turned off and you're like, oh, I don't like this movie anymore. It's like, if anything, you're more engaged because he gave you the wonder, he gave you that character development to get invested, and then he just pulls it and goes, all right, time to see them survive on this island.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's an argument could be made for Jurassic Park as a horror film. It's definitely got horror elements. I classify it as action sci-fi personally, but I agree with you that there are two Spielbergs, and it is interesting to see how those two Spielbergs kind of approach film. Award-winning Spielberg and Geek Spielberg. And I honestly don't know where I fall. Clearly, Geek Spielberg has made some of my favorite movies, but Oscar Spielberg has too. And it's just he's such an amazing director that he can walk in both worlds flawlessly.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. Like I like his Oscar stuff. I mean, I've seen Saving Private Ryan like 20,000 times. Like his Oscar stuff is really, really good. I just really like when he goes for the geek because he has so much fun and he makes such fun movies that resonate with so many people. And no, I actually do agree that I would label Jurassic Park like sci-fi action. But I would, make the argument that I think it's actually a really perfect gateway horror. And that could be another reason why I love it so much is that as a kid, it was a way for me to kind of dip my toes into horror without being too scared because it doesn't go all the way. I know it tones down considerably from the novel, but it does just enough to go like, okay, I know the sequel goes way more into the horror aspect than this one does. But, he goes just enough to get you interested and invested.
I agree. It's, this was, a game changer when this came out. 93 was a hell of a year for Spielberg. I mean, to have this and Schindler's List happen at the same time, that's incredible. I still haven't seen Schindler's List because I know it's going to be a fucking downer. And I don't know if I want to sit through 3 hours of the Holocaust just yet.
I sat through it, I think, for a history class in high school. I've seen the movie. I want to say it was history class in high school. And yeah, it's really good. Like it's a great movie. Liam Neeson's awesome. But yeah, it is such a downer for 3 hours. It's a tough watch. I definitely recommend watching it at least once. But yeah, it's a tough one to sit through.
I'm sure it'll come up as a Best Picture showdown on Oscar Sunday at some point, and that's when I'll finally do it. I'm surprised Jurassic Park 3 wasn't up for more awards. John Williams for Best Score. I mean, that alone. This wasn't even one of his nominations. That's incredible. One of the most iconic of all time and wasn't even touched.
I'm 28 years old. I still hum that theme song to this day. Just randomly around the park and I'll be like,
It's beautiful. And it really kind of contrasts the movie because the score is so wondrous. Like it's a magical land of possibility. And then you have this, a man who is consumed by his own hubris and his own desire to be like remembered, that he completely disregards this nightmare he's created. He doesn't see it as a horrific monster. He sees this as a theme park for children. Like, he's planning this to open for kids. He brings his grandkids there. It's wild, and I love how the score kind of pushes back on that. Williams was he's always been so good at telling his own story with the music, and every film he's ever done, especially with Spielberg, and I adore that.
Oh no, agreed. He crushes it when it comes to scores. This is obviously my favorite score, but yeah, no, and that's, I think, why, to me, the movies, when you mentioned, like, the Hammond's character and his hubris and all that stuff, why the movies age so well too is that on the surface level, it's a fun movie where as a kid you get to see dinosaurs come to life and then wreak havoc. But underneath that, as you get older and you keep watching it, you see a lot of the smart stuff that Spielberg put into that script in regards to man's place in the universe, and do we have the right to play God, and all this really smart storytelling techniques and questions he puts in there throughout the movie, and leaves it up to you as the viewer to draw your own conclusion.
It's brilliant. It's a film about what are we capable of, and I love how Malcolm points that out. Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. It defines the movie, that line.
Yeah, it's actually in my notes for one of my favorite lines.
Yeah, of course, it's great. And it's interesting that when you look at Lost World, Hammond still doesn't learn his lesson. He never realizes what he's done. And yeah, you look at kind of all the sequels and the way that question keeps coming up, especially in Fallen Kingdom, and just how we never learn our lesson. History repeats itself. Spielberg knew what he was doing, man.
He killed it. Yeah, I do remember the sequel was great when Hammond doesn't learn his lesson, and I love Goldblum's performance in like that scene when he's with Hammond in his bed, and he's like, "Dude, really? There's another island? Are you serious? Like, did you not learn your lesson the first time?"
When Hammond says, like, we're not making the same mistakes, and Malcolm just goes, no, you're making all new ones, and he's like about to like pass out. Like, Jesus, man, how many? God, to make 2 dinosaur islands and not realize that you are essentially Dr. Frankenstein. Like, this is wild. And in the book, Hammond is a monster. Like, it's Richard Attenborough who really made Hammond a likable kind of grandpa guy. But in the novel, John Hammond is a tyrant who like manipulates everybody, who like openly like skimps on park resources because he wants to save money and like doesn't care about safety. Like, deliberately endangers his grandchildren. Like, he's an unlikable son of a bitch in the book.
So he doesn't spare no expenses in the book.
No. And I don't know if I should spoil the novel for you or not.
I've heard about the novel. I know that characters that are alive in the movie aren't necessarily alive in the book. Hammond's not likable at all, and that's a lot, like, really gory.
Yeah. Well, Hammond gets his in the book, and it's very appropriate. Do you remember it in the beginning of Lost World, when the little girl gets attacked by the compies?
Oh, yeah, that's a haunting scene.
That happens to Hammond. But he doesn't walk away. It's vicious. The lawyer is actually a lot more of a redeemable character. Like, he survives the whole thing.
Really?
He goes out of his way to save the kids. Like, it's weird. Nedry gets like violently eaten alive. It's a horror novel. The novel is a horror story for sure.
And the movie got the Spielberg touch. But again, I actually really like the Spielberg touch this movie.
Dude, he is magical. Like, you can always tell when you're watching a Spielberg movie. He's got something. I don't know what it is, but it's there.
Yeah, I think that's why for me, I haven't been as into like the Oscar side of Spielberg, because I kind of felt a little jaded when either after this or Lost World, or really I guess after Indiana Jones and Crystal Skulls, he didn't for a long time really do a geek movie. He kept doing Oscar movie, Oscar movie. And I was like, man, come on, Spielberg. Like, I get it. You want to do your Oscar movies, but give me that fun. Give me, I know you have it in you. And then when you finally did Ready Player One, I went to go see that, and I was like, oh my God, finally. Fun. Geek Spielberg is back, and I love that movie. It was so, I was so happy to see that. And I was like, he still has it. Thank you, God, he still has it.
I was so hesitant with Ready Player One. I was thinking like, oh my God, it's just a retread of everything that's great. This is going to suck. And I ended up getting talked into a midnight screening. I was at Draft House still, and we were doing an employee screening of it before, like the day before it was gonna come out officially. And I went, and I thought, all right, fine, I got nothing better to do. And the movie happened, and I was drawn in within 5 minutes. I'm like, he's racing in a DeLorean. It's Kong. T-Rex. Like, I was like, this is made for me. This is amazing. And the power went out right when Mechagodzilla showed up. It was the middle of a storm. Power went out, and I had to go see the movie myself that weekend to see how it ended. I was so pissed.
And Texas, one a storm happens in Texas, and everything just gets destroyed. I got y'all's emails about. I won't lie, I wasn't trying to be rude, but part of me did laugh just because every email I got was there's no water, there's no food. I was like, calm down.
We were delirious. It was like that was not day one. That was day like 7 when we were just like it's all falling apart.
And you guys are telling me this on a very long deployment for me, so I'm just like, oh, so now you're on my level of mentality right now. You're in my state of mind. I was in that state of mind for months.
Although being stuck with Candlelight did give me a chance to actually break into and finish the novel Ready Player 2.
Oh, nice.
Which rocked. My God.
They make that
wait for that movie.
Yeah, please bring Spielberg back for that one too.
I know he already bought the rights. Like he's for sure coming back. So, but you look at I know that in the past, like between Crystal Skull and Ready Player One, he didn't do a lot of geek films, but like his Oscar stuff in that time was so good. War Horse, Lincoln, like those were great movies.
Oh yeah, no, they are great movies. I just don't revisit them as much.
Good point. Yeah, I'll watch Raiders of the Lost Ark every day for 6 months and never get tired of it.
Yeah, whereas I watched Link. I didn't see War Horse admittedly. I did watch Lincoln, and I really like Lincoln. Daniel Day-Lewis did a great job. I haven't had the biggest urge to really rewatch a movie about him coming up with his 10-minute speech.
Fair enough. A lot of Oscar bait movies, while they are good, are kind of one and done. I definitely agree with that. And Spielberg's guilty of that too. So Jurassic Park is based on a novel by Michael Crichton, the author of The Andromeda Strain, Congo, Timeline, and the screenplay for the film Westworld, which I think he also directed. Crichton also co-wrote the screenplay for Jurassic Park with David Koepp. And Crichton seems to be the expert at futuristic theme park screws up and kills a lot of people. Because Jurassic Park is Westworld with dinosaurs.
Don't take this man to amusement parks anytime soon.
Oh, God, no. That guy had a shitty time at Disneyland once and just never stopped writing about it.
Yeah, except at Disneyland that, they don't come to life and try to eat you.
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean doesn't eat the tourists. Love that.
God, many great lines in this movie.
So many. I think my all-time favorite is when Malcolm sees the camera in the car and just goes up there and goes, so you do eventually plan to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right, John?
John, I really hate that man. I think one of my favorites of his is when he walks up to that big pile of dino shit and he just goes, that's a big pile of shit.
Every time I always think like that's what people said about Jurassic Park 3. Alan. Anyway, all you have to say and fans immediately know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's honestly the only one I can say I truthfully don't like at all.
So we'll get to that, but yeah, I have problems with that one too. So Crichton, I read Jurassic Park and I read The Lost World. I don't really remember The Lost World that much. I'd like to reread it. But Jurassic Park was great. I tried to read The Andromeda Strain, and it was way too technical, and I just couldn't do it. And after COVID, there's no way in fuck I'm ever reading The Andromeda Strain. I've lived it. I'm good.
You're telling me with a pandemic going on, but potentially ending soon, who knows, that you don't want to read a book about pandemics?
I don't really want to watch Outbreak or Contagion either. I'm good. 28 Days Later, I'll keep, but the rest of them, I'm going to need a few years.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the post-pandemic movies that will be coming out soon.
I don't want any that show America as saving the day, because that is horseshit. We fucked up so hard. And I do not want the movies reflecting that I don't want it to be Independence Day with a virus.
So don't get Michael Bay attached to it.
You know, I found out today Armageddon is in the Criterion Collection.
Look, I like Armageddon. I'm just going to preface with that. But I can't believe it's in the Criterion Collection of all things.
I was at Half Price Books, and I saw they had a Criterion section, and I always check that. They're way too overpriced, but I always look. And Armageddon was in there, and I'm like, that's got to be a misprint. I pulled it out, and it said the Criterion Collection on the cover, and I'm like, what? And I looked into yep, this is the Michael Bay one, not some documentary from the 50s. This is the Michael Bay movie.
I would buy it just to say I have a Criterion of Armageddon.
$18 used movie.
Yeah, I think I don't have any Criterion movies because of their price, but if I am to get one day, I'll probably get their Night of the Living Dead one they got.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I need to get that because the one I have is one of the many public domain Blu-rays that are out. So to have an official release will be nice.
I don't own any Romero. No, I do own Land of the Dead, but that's the only one. I don't have any other ones. Not out of spite. I just haven't found them.
Admittedly, they're hard to find.
Yeah. I have a Criterion of The Great Dictator and Chasing Amy.
Chasing Amy was a Criterion selection?
I know, right? Weird. But it's a very touching love story. Like, where's that Kevin Smith? I want him back.
You ain't getting him.
Yeah. Congo is a cool story. I haven't read it yet, but I did see the movie, and I have an issue with weirdly shaped monkeys.
You have the most specified fear of something I've heard from anyone in my life.
Yeah, and that's going to come up next week. Hint, hint. But yeah, that movie's about a race of hyper intelligent gorillas that attack scientists. And the movie, I thought had Tim Curry, Bruce Campbell, like a decent cast, and I enjoyed it. And I do own the book, and one day I would like to read that.
Yeah, admittedly, I am bad with my Michael Crichton. Haven't read his books. Unfortunately, I do want to. It's on there. I need to watch Congo. There's been many times where it's been on one of the streaming services. I'm like, I'm gonna watch it, and like we all do, I go do something else. Then I'm like, you know what? Let me finally watch it, and it's gone. Then, and I'm like, well, fuck you, right?
I got in the window. I was like, I got it right before it left Netflix once, and I watched it. I gave it a 7. It was decent, but could have been better. I wanted more Bruce Campbell and more Tim Curry.
Who doesn't want more Bruce Campbell or more Tim Curry?
Yeah, exactly. Timeline. You ever seen that one?
I have not.
Very weird time travel movie from 2003. Paul Walker, Gerard Butler, David Thewlis, and Billy Connolly. Yeah. I haven't read the book yet.
Did you just say Paul Walker and Gerard Butler in the same movie?
Yeah. It's great. Yeah. The Fast and the Scottish. Yep. And
I wasn't about family.
Actually, no, it kind of was.
God damn it.
These scientists find a wormhole that leads specifically to 1400s France. And Billy Connolly plays a scientist who falls through the wormhole, gets trapped, and they don't know how to get him back. David Thewlis is the head of the project, and he's a tyrant, crazy guy. And Paul Walker and Gerard Butler and the girl, I don't remember, I'm sorry. They go back in time. They go through the wormhole to find Billy Connolly and bring him home, but a terrorist blows up the wormhole. And David Thewlis and his team has to figure out how to reconstruct the time machine. or else they're trapped in like 1482 France.
You don't want to be trapped in 1482 France. Not good. Not a good time.
It wasn't. I haven't seen it in a few years. I remember it wasn't bad. It was just unnecessarily confusing, as most time travel movies are.
Yeah, that's. I think that's why. Well, you know, you got your movies like Back to the Future, right? I know you're a real big fan of, and I've seen those that take a very simplistic approach to time travel. Those are the ones I appreciate. When you start getting all wacky, scientific, I'm going to tune out because now I'm lost in the sauce and what you're trying to tell me.
I love Back to the Future to death, and it's my favorite movie. But my favorite time travel, like, concept is Avengers Endgame. The way they did time travel was so simple and easy to follow. Just every journey creates a new timeline. Perfectly simple. Like,
yeah.
Nothing to mess with, nothing to think about. Just okay. Boom.
Yeah, new timeline, and it's so simple that for the movie you're watching, and Marvel's very subtle way of setting up future stuff. No spoilers because I'm having to still catch up. I've yet to watch WandaVision, so
But it's more about grief than anything else. I still have to watch. I haven't watched the premiere of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier yet. I gotta get on.
I've heard really great things about it. So
they just announced Black Widow is going to be on Disney Plus in July.
I saw that. HBO Max really sold me with the fact that I just have to subscribe to their service already, and I get the movie for a certain amount of time for free. I don't know how I feel about this whole $30.
I know exactly how I feel. It's horseshit.
Yeah, like I don't. This is when people are like, see, one day theaters are going to go away and we'll go straight stream. I'm like, no, we won't, because you're going to be paying more money to watch it at home than just going to the theater, unless you have a family. Different story.
Well, Black Widow is going to be on Disney Plus and in theaters July. So it's going to get a double release.
I'll probably go see it in theaters and just spend less money that way.
I refuse to pay Disney Plus $30 more. They just upped their their monthly charge to $8. It's not $7 anymore. It's $8.
Oh, see, they're doing that thing where we were in all these great quality shows on there, and they're like, oh, we have to charge more.
Do we? You're really hemorrhaging money, Disney?
This is a company that bought another company just to get X-Men. Let's just be honest with ourselves. We know how they play.
Dirty, very dirty.
Yeah.
So, Jurassic Park was directed by Steven Spielberg. He did the first two movies. And instead of listing his incredible filmography, let's just fanboy out for a bit. Spielberg, where do you go first? I assume Jaws.
Yeah. My go-to is Jaws. And then probably Jurassic Park. But God, it's tough because I love the Indiana Jones series. Well, I like the first three.
Yeah, I like the Indiana Jones trilogy that they only ever did and didn't make a fourth film. I love that too.
Yeah, the trilogy. Yeah. Even if the stuff he produced right in the 80s, like the Back to the Future and Poltergeist, and he directed E.T. Like all that stuff I love. Ready Player One's a new favorite of mine. So yeah, like I said, when it comes to Spielberg, I'm all about like the geek Spielberg because I love it when he geeks out.
He geeks hard. Spielberg geeks hard. One of my favorites that I think is fairly underappreciated is Hook.
Oh, I forgot. I love Hook.
Hook is my favorite Peter Pan story to date. I don't think they've ever really fully done that story correctly. I feel like they keep fucking it up. And Hook is the best I'm ever going to get. I grew up with that movie. Robin Williams, Dustin Hoffman, Julia Roberts, and Bob Hoskins. I mean, it's just beautiful. One of my favorite John Williams scores again. And just an entertaining, fun family film.
Yeah, that was actually one I grew up with watching a lot because it was always on TV, so I would watch it all the time. And yeah, I mean, Ron Williams is great in it. Hook, I forget who plays Hook in that movie. It's been so long.
Dustin Hoffman, which is crazy. It doesn't. He never seems like Hoffman. Like, to me, that is Captain Hook. It's crazy.
He just melts into the role. It's amazing. Yeah, I love Hook. Actually, I need to get that on Blu-ray. I love that movie.
I had that on tape. That was one of my I had a about 100 tapes when I was a kid, and I just constantly went through them, watched them on my VCR, and would just like rewind and start over. And Hook was one of those. I had it on DVD, and now I have it on Blu-ray. It's one of those, triple threat movies where I had them on all three formats.
That was Jurassic Park. We had the VHS, and I remember I got the DVD set, and then when they came out the Blu-ray set, in time for at the time Jurassic World 1 coming out, I had picked up the Blu-ray set.
Yeah, I think I did too. Yeah, it's a good set. Spielberg. I'm trying to think of other like hardcore like favorites. We've named a lot of them. I really like Duel.
I need to see that. I haven't seen it. I keep trying to find it on a streaming service. I think I actually saw it on Shudder one time. I might be wrong.
We have a Spielberg Blu-ray collection that has the first two Jurassic Parks, E.T., Always, which I haven't watched, 1941, which I also haven't watched, and Duel. Oh, and the Sugarland Express. It's got that too, which I haven't seen. But Duel is such a simple movie. It's just, guy passes a truck on the highway, truck is pissed, truck hunts him down. That's the whole movie. There's no plot. It's just this guy trying to get away from a giant truck. And it's fucking great.
Okay. All right.
His first movie, and he's already got talent. It's great.
I mean, Jaws was like his second? Yeah, because he did Jaws right after Duel.
Jaws was like his third. I think he did the Sugarland Express in there. But yeah, it was one of his first five. I know that.
Okay. So one of his earliest films, and look how much he changed the game with that.
Yeah, crazy. With Jaws, he was able to write his own ticket. He could do whatever he wanted.
Yeah. After people he was being fought with constantly for, understandable reasons. The shark wasn't working. The shoot was not easy. But God, what he pulled off with that movie. And I mean, from being one of the early films to have characters talking over each other and really pushing the boundary of the PG rating.
I will never in my life understand how the hell Jaws squeaked by with a PG rating. I mean, that film has so much gore and a fair amount of nudity, and it's still got a PG rating. Jesus Christ. What did you have to do in 1975 to get an R rating?
It's really amazing that if you look at the MPA, right, with Spielberg, they let him slide. Jaws, we'll slide. Raiders of the Lost Ark, we'll slide. And then all of a sudden, Temple of Doom, they went, okay, well, hold on.
So you can melt as many Nazis as you want, but the second you rip out a Hindu guy's heart, it's going too far.
Yeah. And was Poltergeist was PG-13, right? Or was it PG?
I think that was PG also, because PG-13 didn't show up till 84 because of Temple of Doom and Gremlins. Those two movies.
Okay, yeah. Even when he produced the movie, because Poltergeist has a scene where he rips his face off.
Yeah, man. It's the clown, the tree. Like, what the fuck? The pool of bones.
Spielberg got away with so much, yet every time a new Friday 13 came out in the 80s, they were like, whoa. You need to cut some shit out of there if you want an R rating, mister. But Spielberg, they were like, well, PG, it's fine. Kids can go see Nazis' faces getting melted off. That's okay.
I think they should see Nazi faces melted. I think that should be taught in schools. Nazis are bad. Remember when that wasn't controversial?
We just got canceled.
Anyway, Spielberg is the best. And I think in the works right now, he's doing a movie based on his own childhood.
I just read Seth Rogen got cast play like his uncle or something.
Yeah, Michelle Williams is going to probably be like his mom, I think. So that'll be interesting. And then he's also working on Ready Player 2 and Indiana Jones 5. I think he's producing.
We'll see. One thing I forgot to mention that I think I like about Spielberg while geeking out over him, and why I tend to really like his stuff he geeks out on, his geek out movies, is because, with his Oscar films, he has to be restrained and make a Oscar-worthy movie. But when you watch one of his geek out movies, his enjoyment, his pleasure, and his love for film and everything attached to that movie shines through. And I think that's what I love. It's like it's infectious. Like you watch Jaws, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Ready Player One, and his love for the material shines through so much in the finished product that it's hard for me to not enjoy it.
Very true. I also think it's interesting that he can kind of some of his geek films fall into Oscar territory too. Like he can, pull like Jaws, Raiders, and E.T. were all up for Best Picture. So
Yeah.
it's cool that he can do that too. He makes geek films into Oscar movies, and he makes Oscar movies into geek films. He's like a fucking movie alchemist. Like I don't know how he does that, but it's amazing.
He is continuously trailblazed throughout his entire career, and it's impressive what he's pulled off.
Yeah, for sure. He's, people who don't really watch a lot of movies, they know the name Steven Spielberg. He's become like almost synonymous with Hollywood. Love it.
I love him. And obviously this movie was my intro and why I love him so much.
Understandably, man. This is a hell of a, I don't think anybody's made more masterpieces than Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. Best part is there's actual like some technical issues with this movie if you pay attention, but I still can put my like blinders on and be like, nope, this is a perfect movie for me.
Oh, dude, in Raiders, when Belloc explodes, it is so clearly a puppet. But I don't give a shit because I love watching God fuck up these Nazis. It's all about, I grew up with this movie. No one's taking this away from me.
Yeah. And same here with this. No one's taking Jurassic Park away from me. This will be a movie that, if I have a family one day or whatever, I will be showing this to them. Like, I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Let's talk about the cast. So we have Sam Neill as Dr. Alan Grant, dino expert. Neill would return in Jurassic Park 3 and is set to return in the upcoming Jurassic World Dominion. So glad they finally convinced him to come back. Sam Neill's a guy who's kind of always been there and keeps popping up in movies that I just love. And yeah, I really like Sam Neill. I'm a fan.
I am too. He pops up in stuff. Like, I don't hear about him often, but I'll be watching. Like, I remember when I was watching Daybreakers.
Yeah.
And he just popped up in it. And I was like, oh, shit, Sam Neill. So I like him. He always brings a really good performance and just a good addition to any movie I've seen.
I agree. He's a guy I grew up with because of this miniseries he did in '98 on, I think it was the Hallmark Channel. Merlin. I know. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know it was Hallmark. But he did a 3-part miniseries in '98 called Merlin, where he plays Merlin. And you get to see kind of the story of King Arthur from his perspective. And it was so cool to me, still like the definitive King Arthur story. Decent cast. Helena Bonham Carter is Morgan Le Fay. Isabella Rossellini is Nimue. What's her name? Miranda Richardson is Queen Mab, Queen of the Fairies. Martin Short is her like helper, a gnome named Frick. It's such an odd thing. It's like you follow Merlin from his childhood, learning how to be a wizard, to being gifted Excalibur by the Lady of the Lake to fight King Vortigern and help King Uther take over the land for good. But Uther turns out to be a son of a bitch. And it's all like, King Arthur's coming, and it's the build up to like where Arthur goes. And then he fights Mordred. And it's so cool. It's like 5 hours long, but it's such a cool story. And Sam Neill's just fantastic in it.
On the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah, but it was bitching. It was back, I don't know if I'm going to confirm that. Because I'm never going to hear the fucking end of it if it was indeed on the Hallmark Channel.
No, you won't.
1998. Okay. NBC. Never mind.
You lucked out.
Yeah. It was distributed by Hallmark Entertainment. They made the DVD. That's why I thought. Okay. Well, it's a really cool miniseries, and if my word means anything, I think you'd like it.
Okay. Now I'll check it out.
I think it's on Prime. So that was kind of my intro to Sam Neill. So to me, he's always been Merlin.
Okay. He's always been Dr. Grant to me.
You're seeing The Mouth of Madness.
Oh, I've only seen parts of it. I've not watched the whole way through. I want to watch it because he's in it, and I heard he's really good in it.
I'm on an ongoing quest to watch all of John Carpenter's films, and I've only got a handful left. But In the Mouth of Madness had such a cool score and such a cool premise that I was really disappointed when it ended up being kind of a dud.
Uh,
But he's great. It's such a cool idea. Just, a horror author's books are coming to life. That's all you need.
yeah, he usually does good. Have you seen Event Horizon?
Long time ago.
I'd say he's in that, and he is awesome. And he goes like full tilt crazy throughout the movie and commits, and it's awesome to watch.
The whole idea of a spaceship going to hell is really intriguing. I think I should give Event Horizon another shot.
Honestly, the best Paul W.S. Anderson movie you'll watch.
Is that they're really saying something?
I mean, depending on how much you like Resident Evil and this monster movie that I have yet to see, I guess. I don't know.
I've only seen the first Resident Evil, and that was like 10 years ago, and I do not remember it. I think he did Mortal Kombat, right?
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, yeah.
That's probably my favorite Paul W.S. Anderson movie.
Okay.
But like picking my favorite Paul W.S. Anderson movie is like saying, which bee would you like to sting you because one of them stings the less? Like, I don't want any of them, but if I had to pick, I guess that one.
I'll take Event Horizon.
Sam Neill, cool guy. Have you seen Peaky Blinders?
No, I'm very behind on like British television, unfortunately.
I watched the first 3, maybe 4 seasons. I kind of fell off of it. But Sam Neill's the bad guy in the first half of the show. And he plays this like crazy Scotland Yard inspector who's determined to do whatever it takes to take down this Birmingham street gang. And he goes to like insane lengths. He loses his mind, and he just becomes such a despicable son of a bitch. But it's a great character for him. And very happy he gets continuous work. I love seeing him as the fake Thor or the fake Odin in Thor Ragnarok. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh yeah, I freaked out there. I was like, oh my god, it's Dr. Grant.
Yeah, he's awesome. Love him to death. Oscar winner Laura Dern plays Dr. Ellie Sattler, Grant's partner. Dern won her Oscar for her performance in 2019's Marriage Story. Was also nominated for 1991's Rambling Rose and 2014's Wild. She also returned in Jurassic Park 3 and is also coming back in Jurassic World Dominion. Laura Dern as Dr. Ellie Sattler. Thoughts?
I like her. She is like, a very strong female protagonist. She has a lot of really lot of great, awesome scenes in this movie. I was actually kind of sad when she came back for the third film, and she's really only there to talk to Sam Neill, and that's it. But I guess she has like a really cool redemption moment in the end of the movie. That's a cool part for her. But besides that, I didn't really like what they did with her in the third movie. I hope after my disappointment what they did with Goldblum and Fallen Kingdom, that her return in the upcoming Dominion is substantial, because I actually really like her, and I think she's been shortchanged since this first movie came out.
Never really had a lot of thoughts on Laura Dern. I thought she was kind of bland for the most part. Not really an actress I really wanted to pursue her work, But then I watched Wild at Heart in 1990, and I thought, holy shit, she's hot in this. And now I get it. She was amazing in that, and just damn. So Wild at Heart is the film I'd recommend if anybody's feeling a little lukewarm on Laura Dern.
Okay. She was really good in I know you guys did an episode on it. The Twin Peaks third season.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see your face when I said that. She was really good. I understand. I listened to the episode. I understand your feelings on it. I like the third season for the most part, but dear God, does it move slow.
No one gets it with Twin Peaks. Everyone's just like, it's Twin Peaks. Get on board. No. Tell a goddamn story.
You basically summed up David Lynch's entire career. It's this, just get on board. No, just give me some answers.
Pretty much. At some point, he just became revered, and everyone's like, "It's David Lynch, so it's your fault if you don't like it." No, that's not how it works. God damn it.
I do really like his character in Twin Peaks. He always cracks me up.
I agree. I liked the first 2 seasons of Twin Peaks. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It's that 3rd season that's like, 15 hours of fucking nothing that irritated me and still irritates me. Clearly, I still have very hard feelings about this. I felt betrayed by a good friend. And I'm talking about David Lynch, not Austin or you. I thought we got to know each other quite well. And then he springs that shit on me.
In all fairness, I think the most I told you when I was watching it was like, yeah, this is a really good show. And that was when I was watching the first 2 seasons. And I watched me, I was like, yeah, the movie's good. And I don't think I told anyone about the 3rd season. I think I only texted Josh. And I'm like, dude, what is going on? He's like, I remember this. Hey, wait till you get to episode 8. What are you talking about? Get to episode 8, I was like, I was sitting on my couch like, did I take drugs before I watched this show?
That is exactly what Austin told me. Wait till episode 8. And I'm like, I got to episode 8 and I'm like, are you kidding me? That's like the least of anything I've seen. All I did was confuse me more. And I'm just like, what is it? What do you see that I don't? Lend me your eyes. Let me see this the way you see this. I just don't. I wasn't prepared to bring all this up again.
Realize what I did. I just wanted to point out that she was really good in that 3rd season. I liked Laura Dern.
I feel like I just finished putting the wall back together, and you summoned the fucking Kool-Aid Man again. Now I got to build the wall again.
What's sad is this is the first time this has happened between us. I'm really good at doing this to you.
Yeah, you're right. You did it last week, didn't you? Well, I think we have a new recurring surprise segment on the show where I just randomly lose my shit.
This is what happens when you're the oldest of 3. You get really good at finding something that someone gets annoyed by. And you're like, how can I possibly bring this up at some point?
Well, it doesn't help that I have like 125, plus episodes, and some of them are me just freaking out about how much I didn't like a movie. Oh, God. Laura Dern. Yep. Jeff Goldblum plays Dr. Ian Malcolm, chaotician and Goldblum-esque weirdo. He returned in The Lost World, Fallen Kingdom, and he's coming back for Dominion. He's Goldblum. I mean, what more can you say? How can anybody not like Jeff Goldblum? He's the man.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what I can add to this because he is awesome. Safe to say we both love him. I'm pretty sure all of Filmgazm loves him.
The whole world loves Jeff Goldblum. He's just
he literally got a show on Disney Plus. That whole Jeff Goldblum season, whatever the hell it's called. Simply the fact that it's Jeff Goldblum. Like, let's just be honest. He's awesome.
He's the best. He was hilarious as the Grandmaster in Thor Ragnarok. That was funny as hell.
I was so happy to see when like Marvel was like, yeah, we got Jeff Goldblum for Thor Ragnarok. I was like, oh my God, yes. Marvel got Jeff Goldblum. Yes.
Oh, I got it. That's a great movie. I have given a surprisingly low amount of 10s to the MCU. That's one of them.
Yeah, Taika Waititi really just did a great fucking job on that movie.
That and Jojo Rabbit and What We Do in the Shadows. He's become one of my favorite filmmakers. I can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah, I need to watch the 2nd season of What We Do in the Shadows. First season was so funny.
I haven't checked out the show yet. I've only seen the movie, but I've heard the show is just hilarious.
Oh, it is so funny. They have I won't spoil who, but I forget which episode they have to go like to the Vampire Council for something, and the cameos of actors who have played vampires that they got is impressive.
That's cool.
The ones they throw shade at that told them no, is also awesome.
That's fantastic. All right, that's the motivation I needed. That's great. Yeah, I don't think we can we can't go past Goldblum without just at least mentioning The Fly.
Oh God, yeah.
I watched it recently, within the past few months, when Josh and I did the 50s Fly on the show. I decided to just, what the fuck, and watch The Fly again, and it is so good. It still holds up so well. It's so grisly, and his performance is so great. It's like the only non-Goldblum character he's ever played is Seth Brundle.
Yeah. What's funny is like it's not Goldblum at all. It still is. Like when he's doing shit as he's like transforming, there's still like just a tiny hint of Goldblum there. Not a lot that we get, but at least a tiny hint.
That movie's so gross.
Oh,
I love it though.
Oh, The Fly is it's probably one of Cronenberg's masterpieces.
He's another guy I'm just starting to kind of branch out with. I still have a lot of Cronenberg left to see, but I've watched The Brood, Scanners, Videodrome, History of Violence, Eastern Promises. I think Shivers is the big one I need to see still.
I've seen Shivers. That's a good one. I've seen Shivers, Rabid, Videodrome, which I really liked. The Fly. I still need to see The Brood. That's one I still need to check out. I've seen a good chunk of his work, in part thanks to Josh. I also want to check out his son's stuff. His son's starting to direct.
I know. I watched Possessor. Really cool film.
Okay, I keep hearing about dude, ever since I got off this point, it's been nothing but like me hearing about these movies left front. I'm like, God, I need to go to an island and just sit down and just watch.
Yes, you do. I was surprised at how much I didn't like Scanners. I really wanted to like Scanners.
I haven't sat through Scanners yet, so
there's no story really. Like it's a horribly written script. Michael Ironside's the only saving grace of that film.
Oh, okay.
He is so evil. Yeah.
He does play evil really, really good. Like really.
That's a film I would not mind seeing a remake of. Scanners.
Okay. Unlike the Dead Ringers thing on Prime that's coming out.
Oh yeah, Dead Ringers. That's another one of his I saw. Yeah, that was okay. I don't think we need a show out of it. But whatever. I don't make decisions. I should, but I don't.
I just watch what they put out if I'm interested. That's it.
When it comes to shows, I think Hannibal is the only show I've watched that's been based off a movie. And that was really good.
So, oh man, Ash versus Evil Dead.
I don't count that because that's more of a continuation, not a remake.
Okay.
Yeah, but I watched the hell out of that and I missed that show very, very much.
I was very sad to hear when season 3 was going to be its last.
Yeah, me too. We all need more Ash Williams in our life.
Groovy.
Oh, hell yeah. Oscar winner Richard Attenborough plays John Hammond. Attenborough won 2 Oscars for directing and producing 1982's Gandhi. He died in 2014 at 90 years old from undisclosed causes. And he really is he's the reason we like John Hammond. I think Richard Attenborough is incapable of playing a bad person because he's such a giddy personality. And he just brings this light to Hammond that makes it impossible to hate all the death and destruction he's single-handedly responsible for. I'm talking over the course of all of these movies. It's all his fault. And you just like him. You kind of want him to succeed. You kind of feel bad that his theme park didn't work because he really does go into it with good intentions. He wants people to see these creatures that nature has taken away from them. I believe it. Attenborough, for being more of a producer and director, I thought Attenborough really shined in this movie.
Yeah, I was actually really sad when I heard about he passed away because of me growing up with this movie. And just, yeah, like you said, he brings a lot of warmth and light to this character to the point that, like, there's that scene when they're having to go turn the breakers back on and he makes that, like, sexist comment. He's like, really, I should go because and you're a, And even then, you're still like, okay, he's just like a grandpa, he says dumb things different time, right? You almost like forgive him, like,
Yeah.
because he has, like you said, the interesting duality of like he can't see past his own hubris of how this is bad idea, but at the same time, he's going in with good intentions. He wants people to see dinosaurs, and Hugh, since we've been kids, doesn't want to see dinosaurs. Like we've heard about them. It's something that would be very cool to see. I can definitely see myself if this were to exist going to that park if I could. So you almost, yeah, you can't blame him. And when he brings his grandkids to the park, he's doing it because he wants to do it for them. He wants them to see everything he's worked so hard to give them.
More so than that, there's a throwaway line towards the beginning of the film where the lawyer happens to mention that Hammond's daughter's going through a divorce. So you almost get, you add that on to the fact that his grandkids are there, and I think he's just trying to make his grandkids happy because clearly it's a bad time at home right now, and he wants them to smile, and that also adds more to who he is as a person.
Yeah, he deep down, yeah, he may not be able to see past how this is a bad idea, but he's coming out with such good intentions and wanting to do something right.
Scene where he's eating all the ice cream and like reflecting, and he says, I see, we'll get it right next time. Like we relied too much on automation. And Ellie's like, are you kidding me? Like, do you not realize that this is over? There's not going to be a Jurassic Park. This is a nightmare. People are dying. Like,
that's a great scene because, yeah, you see where he's still trying, like, no, we can make it work. And it's like, you almost like how his performance is with that scene, to me, works so well because it's not coming from like his egotistical scientific level. It's coming from he wants this work. He wants to give his grandkids that joy and that wonder, and it's hurting him to see what's happening.
Instead, he gave his grandkids a lifetime of PTSD and a pathological fear of dinosaurs.
And for Tim doing anything, because dear God, that poor kid gets abused throughout this movie.
That kid gets so many hits to the heart. I mean, after getting electrocuted and coming back to life, he's being chased by raptors. That kid is going to have a heart attack by the time he hits like 19 years old.
Yeah. I like the scene when the car goes over and he's in the tree and Grant's trying to get him out. And he's like, I threw up. And like, as someone that's older, I was like, oh, poor kid. Like,
but as a kid, he's trying to rationalize, like, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to stay here.
Yeah, like, I don't want to leave the car.
Yeah, the car is safety.
I
found myself with this most recent watch kind of laughing at just how many times these kids are put into like severe danger. And how Hammond's just still like, we'll get it right next time. Like, this is a minor setback. Like, no, bro. Like, your grandkids were almost raptor chow. Like, it's time to back up.
Especially Tim. You really need to look at Tim after this because he needs some help. I always laugh now more so than ever when how Laura Dern keeps getting the kids near Grant because he doesn't want kids, so she keeps finding ways to keep getting them together. And just that relationship throughout the movie cracks me up every time. And he's like, I love
that it didn't work because we go to Jurassic Park 3 and they've broken up and she has a kid and he's lonely dinosaur man.
Yeah. I do love what car are you riding in? Whichever one you're in. And as the kid's talking, he shuts the door.
And the girl's there like, Laura Dern said it'd be good for you. Oh my God. Jesus. I think it would have been cool if Chris Pratt's character in Jurassic World had been Tim.
Oh, they should have. I keep hoping that they will find a way to bring those characters back, and they haven't done that for some reason.
Considering Dominion's bringing back the big three, I wouldn't be surprised if they finally do come back in that movie.
Oh, yeah, they just haven't said anything.
I mean, probably won't be the same actors, but...
Well, I mean, yeah.
Obviously, I don't think they're doing anything else. Kids don't tend to have a career in Hollywood. They're one and done most of the time.
Yeah, unfortunately, it kind of speaks to the Hollywood system more than anything.
Yep. Everyone is disposable unless you can put asses in seats. And even then, you're still kind of disposable.
Yeah.
Bob Peck plays Robert Muldoon, the Great White Hunter. Despite appearing like a badass, he is immediately dispatched by raptors as soon as he tries to hunt one. He is the Boba Fett of the Jurassic Park franchise.
You know what? He rocks it though. He comes
build
in,
up of like, I know raptors like nobody. Like they remember, they're intelligent creatures. And then as soon as he hunts one in the wild, he is dispatched within a second. And it, like, come on, bro. Like, you should know how to handle raptors if you are the guy hired to handle the raptors.
He does say that awesome line when like the raptor pokes his head out and he's like, "Clever gore," and he just lunges at him.
Just munching on his head. It's "clever girl" is a nice line, but I thought Postal Weight in the second one, much more competent hunter.
Yeah, he was.
Wayne Knight plays disgruntled hacker Dennis Nedry.
Oh.
Knight is known for playing Newman, the evil mailman on Seinfeld, and the incompetent officer Don on Third Rock from the Sun. And he's kind of been riding the Newman wave ever since. Even in this movie, I just keep thinking, when he opens the embryos, I'm just like, Newman. God damn it. I've always liked him. He's always made me laugh. I've always enjoyed his work.
I like the actor. It's just I don't know. As I've gotten old, his character bugs me more and more in the movie because
he's a piece of shit. Straight up.
He is really like the root cause of the entire problem.
Yeah, but you know why? Because Hammond put everything in this park in the hands of one disgruntled IT guy. Don't do that ever.
Checks and balances, Hammond. Checks and balances.
Yeah, nobody is gonna, looking at a backup on this. You're just letting the guy you are openly not paying enough and like bragging about it run the whole park, and you think that's not gonna bite you in the ass? Hubris.
Say the magic word. I
love that Sam Jackson's just randomly in this too. Like he's just, the guy always smoking a cigarette who gets killed off screen.
Yeah, I forget he's in here, and I'm like, hey, Samuel Jackson.
Under your butts. Nope. I don't. Well, this is like a year before Pulp Fiction, so he wasn't really, huge yet.
He's so good in this though. Like when that whole like say the magic word, and he's like, bitch, please.
I hate this hacker crap. It's so well constructed. Like the idea that this park is so state of the art that it's all automated and so easy to fail. Like that Nedry manages to, it really is kind of a perfect storm of horrific circumstances. The tropical storm and Nedry getting paid off and his grandkids being there. It all just, combines into this nightmare. It's so well written. I don't think the script gets enough love here. Michael Crichton and David Koepp did a fucking great job.
Yeah, no, they would. I mean, I'm sure they obviously changed things. But Spielberg won't be like, hey, let's make this PG-13 at least, which is fine. But they did a fantastic job of making this really like everything happens organically, logically. Like he's trying to get people to come see the park. He gets people obviously like signs and stuff. Obviously, his grandkids. Again, that third line with the divorce. So, obviously, I mean, with grandkids. Let them see the dinosaurs. Kind of get their mind off what's going on at home right now. And then it all goes to shit.
In the worst way. It's so good. I just, I keep thinking about Westworld and just, God, I wonder what happened to Michael Crichton in a theme park that made him think, like, I hate theme parks and they are deadly, and I'm going to keep writing about them. I don't know. I'd love to find out. But he's dead. I can't interview him.
Well, so what if like he gets asked, he just freaks out like you do about Twin Peaks?
What if it's something so small, like so ridiculously, like he got his picture taken at like the log ride at Disney World and his eyes were closed and they wouldn't let him go back on? Like, what if it's that, like just something that stupid?
What if the key is in the Pirates of the Caribbean line? What if it was a Pirates of the Caribbean ride?
One of the pirates was some psychopath who tried to eat him. I hope so. That's what I'm gonna believe from now on. Oh boy, that's great. Jurassic Park has an IMDb score of 8.1, Rotten Tomatoes score of 91%, and has to date grossed $1.033 billion on a $63 million budget. Because every re-release, this gets another like $100 million because people fucking love this movie.
Oh, dude, if I ever get a chance, if they put in theaters again, I will be there to see this on the theater. Oh my! Oh, I would be having the biggest nerdgasm.
You compensate down here. There haven't been a lot of new releases, so a lot of theaters down here have been playing like beloved movies, and Jurassic Park has been a mainstay.
Oh hell yeah! This is a movie that to me will never go away. Like I said, it absolutely speaks into both the awe and just amazement, and then that terror and thrill ride suspense seamlessly.
Oh hell yeah, man! It spawned 4 sequels with one in the works, an animated Netflix series, countless video games. It won 3 Oscars: Best Sound Editing, and Best Visual Effects. So, I mean, no one's taking visual effects away from Stan the Man Winston. That guy was the fucking boss when it came to visual effects. I was watching Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments, and this was in there. This was number like 93, which, and Stan Winston was interviewed, and he said, "My team did not make scary dinosaurs. My team made real dinosaurs." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, you did, Stan. Way to go."
Oh yeah. No, they look. Like I said, watching it since I was a kid on VHS to now on a 4K TV, right, with the Blu-ray, it still looks amazing. Like the puppetry, the few CGI shots they put in, like it still looks amazing. And I still fall for the illusion, the trick. And I know how they did it. I've seen them behind the scenes. I've studied every minute detail of this movie, but I still get lost when I watch it. It's so hard not to me.
I agree, man, for sure. So let's talk about the film itself, some highlights, some stuff we love about Jurassic Park, and some stuff we don't like. I, for one, think the smartest thing this film does is build up the Raptors. From the beginning, we get to know, how they hunt, how smart they were, what they're capable of. And as the film progresses, we hear Grant here, you bred raptors. Like, he's afraid. And we see the raptor fence, and Muldoon's just like, they were testing for weaknesses. They remember things. Like, they have problem-solving intelligence. Like, we're just led to believe that these things are smart, deadly, and frightening. And they do not disappoint when they finally show up. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, the whole raptor buildup is amazing. Like in that scene when he's telling them about the raptors. Well, okay, so let's actually go back to the beginning with that little kid, and he finds the little claw, and he's like telling him how they kill. Not only is that a really funny scene with that kid, but like that's your first like real knowledge you're getting about the raptor. Like that's the first beginning of the reveal. Is like you're learning how they use their claws to get you. And then with that scene at the paddock, you have it. Well, you don't even see them. You just see the cow, I think. Yeah, the cow gets lowered in, and you just hear the noises, and you see the rustling of the trees, and that's it. You don't see a fucking thing. And it's scary. It's actually a little scary. You're like, what the fuck is in there?
Really? And before this film came out, the Velociraptor was not a very popularly known dinosaur. Like it was, the paleontology community knew about him, but like mainstream people knew like T-Rex, Triceratops, Stegosaurus. Like this was not a very well-known dinosaur. Now it's the only one people talk about. It's insane. And it is freaky. I love this. The part where he's talking to the kid and he talks about how, you connect eyes with the raptor and then the attack comes and it's from the 2 you didn't even know were there. Like that is scary. And we see that happen with Muldoon. It's brilliant script, man.
Yeah, he connects eyes with that one before, and just sitting there too is the best part. It's just like sitting there lounging, and he's getting ready to take the shot, and the way that the camera shot and everything about the scene is just perfect to me. And it just shows the side of Muldoon, and you just see the raptor launch his head out at him, And it kind of, if you don't know it's coming, it's actually a little bit, it's kind of a good jump scare because you're like, oh, fuck.
The raptor that was in the control room after Ellie turns the power back on, I'd forgotten about that scare, and that one got me last night.
Oh, that is a really good scene. How that thing pops out. She's all like, oh, we turn it on. That raptor just fucking pops out to ruin her day.
I love the theory that the rude kid at the beginning grows up to be Chris Pratt's character in Jurassic World. It's been disproven, but I like to think that, kid got a little respect for raptors, and then
Yeah. I also love with the raptors, if we're talking those really two very distinct attack scenes I love in this movie a lot. And that whole raptor end scene is amazing, especially when they're in the kitchen having to sneak around. Watching it last night, 2 nights ago, I was still getting tense. I've seen this movie hundreds of times, and I still got tense during that scene. It's such a great scene.
That's a mark of a great movie when you've seen it 100 times and you can still get chills a little bit.
Oh yeah. When she's sitting there trying to pull that thing down, I was so sitting there going, pull it down.
I always laugh when we meet Dennis for the first time and that guy shows up with the hat and sunglasses and he's like, don't use my name. And Ned just goes like, Dodson, it's Dodson. We got Dodson here. It's like, no one cares. Such a dick. That whole scene right there is done really well too. We know that Dennis works for Jurassic Park. We know he's disgruntled. We know he's being paid off to sneak embryos, and we get kind of everything we need to know about him there. I love when he's, the bill comes and he just looks at Dodson like, "Don't get cheap on me now." They can pay for his fucking breakfast.
Yeah, no, that goes to the really great script we were talking about. The way they don't spend a lot of time over explaining characters, over explaining events. It's like they pace it really well and write it really well, or you get to know Dennis in that one scene and essentially the start of the whole disaster. And as Chris, you're seeing that, but again, this is where expert writing comes in. They do such a great job of distracting you with that awe that you almost kind of forget it until it has you like, oh wait, shit.
That's right. Yeah, Dennis doesn't show up again until he's in the seat at Jurassic Park complaining to Hammond about how he's not getting paid enough. That's done so well. I don't know if you noticed this. I found this out. Nedry's entire wardrobe reflects the Goonies.
I didn't notice that.
When we first meet him, he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt, like Chunk. When we meet him again, when he's complaining to Hammond, he's wearing Mouth's gray jacket. And then when he gets eaten by the frilled lizard dinosaur, he's wearing Mikey's yellow rain jacket. He's wearing the Goonies outfits the whole movie.
I didn't know that.
I don't know why. I mean, Spielberg produced the Goonies, so maybe it was a little shout out, but kind of neat.
That is cool. Okay. I didn't know that.
No. My one real beef with the movie, and this really is more a beef on the Lost World, we never really know who Dodson is, who he works for, or where, what that Barbasol was like, if it was ever discovered. It's hinted at that it's going to be, but it never comes up again.
Yeah, that's honestly that is one thing I noticed. And it's kind of like a flaw to me with the entire series that the bad guys, per se, aren't ever really fleshed out. They keep trying. They try in Lost World. They kind of let it go in Jurassic Park 3, and then they fire it up again in Jurassic World. It's not really done well. It's like, okay, you have this company that wants to essentially use them for different reasons that are more nefarious than what Hammond wants. All right. It kind of, to me, is really lackluster and not as exciting as everything else happening in the movie.
I agree. Yeah, it's weird. What else we got here? So the scene where Hammond introduces the ride, the DNA ride, and he's talking to himself on screen. Is he expecting to be present at every single ride on the park? Is he never leaving this place?
He's living there. He has a tent, living amongst the dinosaurs.
I mean, this is a dinosaur park. If this worked, as we see in Jurassic World, this place is packed 24/7. This is the coolest theme park in the world. Hammond would have to be there for every single ride for that to make sense. I've been to Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and there's a similar ride that just shows you how they make chocolate, and that is always packed. This is dinosaurs. Way more interesting than chocolate. That's going to be a full job right there, just showing up and getting fake poked.
I feel like that scene is a victim of a lot of 90s film with the birth of like technology and the way it was happening at that time with computers and shit. And I really feel like that was just a scene to be like, look what we can do with technology nowadays. Instead of thinking, would a guy who has this theme park expecting a huge turnout really have the time to do this and still run the park? Because he's the CEO essentially.
You ever get the vibe that he's not really in charge here, though? Like, he made the park, but like the lawyer seems to be, he represents the investors, and that's always that's a very vague group of people we don't hear a lot about.
It feels a lot like one of those cases where he made it, but he has to deal with the shareholders.
He created the park, but InGen owns the science.
Yeah, and they probably want him out because he's obviously wanting to do it for a different reason. They want to do it.
But he also wants to make the park available to everybody, and lawyer wants to charge $10,000 a ticket.
That was such like I remember watching this going, sounds a lot like Disney doing something like that. Yeah, coupon day. I'm like, yeah, when he said, I was like, really? You're going to charge that much? He goes, only the elite. I'm like, oh God, why? Why should only the rich be able to see this?
We need Hammond. He's supposed to be kind of like a dark Walt Disney. And I get that. You think this, like, I love the science of, ancient mosquitoes discovered, preserved in amber, and they extract the ancient blood and have DNA. Like, do you think that in the next 100 years or so, something like this might be possible?
I do actually. I think I was reading somewhere that they were trying to base a lot of this off a possibility of this being a route to take. I've read various, and stuff always pops up about like, could we actually be close to having a real life Jurassic Park? I think it's possible. I think that actually kind of speaks to one of the staying powers of the movie is that its science to me isn't exactly out of the realm of possibility. I think, along with the theme of like, with that theme of like us always wanting to play God. And I can see one day, maybe not in our lifetime, because if it's anything like how this movie series has gone, don't let this happen in my lifetime. I can see where, maybe we would be able to bring dinosaurs back, or someone like Hammond would try to do something like a Jurassic Park.
Well, Michael Crichton had a medical training and scientific background, so a lot of his novels are very scientifically accurate. Andromeda Strain, Congo timeline. So it makes me think, like, I don't know, maybe, if he knew what he was talking about. I mean, I'm not saying, in the next 5 years or so we're going to have velociraptors, but in 100 years we might be able to clone extinct species.
Which, depending on what we decide to do with that, could be good or bad.
Yeah, every time I see an article about we're considering cloning ancient animals, somebody always posts like, I can think of 5 movies that explain why that's a bad idea. I love it.
Yeah, anyone's like, hey, we can bring dinosaurs back. I'm like, has no one watched any of the Jurassic Park movies? Have we not learned our lesson?
That, and like whenever somebody says like, U.S. military considering automating defense systems, I'm like, have you not seen the 6 Terminator movies? Like, are you out of your fucking mind? No, we don't learn, or people in charge don't watch movies.
I can't say it on podcasts when it comes to that. On how I feel.
We hear, the first half of this movie is very cheerful, very upbeat, and as soon as the park fails and the T-Rex shows up, that's kind of the moment where everything goes really dark, literally and figuratively. Like, darkness ascends, the park shuts down, dinos are coming.
And that's actually my favorite scene. To this day, that T-Rex scene is my favorite scene.
It's creepy. It's executed so well. It's built up so well. Just a little flick of the cup of water. Like, yeah, you're freaked out. It's perfect.
The flick, and then like he has the night vision goggles, which I love that hey, are those heavy? Yeah, and they're expensive. Put them up. And he's just like looking. Also, he's like, hey, they don't see the goat anymore. And then that shot when she's like, where's the goat? You're like, I remember when I was a kid, that scene, no matter how many times I watched it, would make me fucking jump because it comes out of nowhere and you don't even see the T-Rex first, you just see the claw against the fence. And you're like, oh shit. And God, that scene when that T-Rex comes out and lets out that roar, I'm so happy. I get a smile on my face every time I see that scene, like every single time.
It's a little off topic, but I just realized that Martin Ferrero, the guy who plays the lawyer, is the guy in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles who gives Steve Martin a room in exchange for $17 and a good watch. Yeah. I just realized I knew that face from somewhere, and it's the guy who's like, you got $17 and a good watch. It's so creepy. I have $2 and a Casio. But anyway, yeah. And he just, fucking takes off and leaves the kids there, hides in the bathroom. Solid citizen right there.
Oh yeah. I do like when Jeff Goldblum, when they're trying to see out there and Sam Neill looks out and then Jeff Goldblum like wipes the window because his is all fogged up and he like does the fucking flare and just bolts to get the T-Rex away. And then the bathroom breaks and then he's just sitting there on the toilet and the T-Rex just looks at him. And I'm like, oh, you're fucked. You ran away.
Leave kids to die like that, bro. This is a movie. You're gonna get yours.
Oh yeah. I love Lex. He ran away. He ran away. He left us.
I always hate when Malcolm does that though, because it looks like the T-Rex is gonna go back in the paddock. But then Malcolm's like, hey.
It does because you see him throw it and you see the T-Rex is clearly like, oh, I'm gonna go see what that is. And then Malcolm's like, I'm just gonna keep running. And I'm like, no, the T-Rex is leaving. If anything is going to fall, because apparently elevation changed dramatically.
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, that's really weird plot hole.
It's a plot hole that I know it's been pointed out ad nauseum, and I still ignore it. I'm like, all right, yeah, it's a rainy day.
Yeah, I guess maybe the dirt in Jurassic Park is all quicksand, and it just sunk real quick.
Amazingly quick.
Ridiculous, like 100 feet in an hour. If that.
God. Oh, when Grant gets Lex out of the car and she does that scream and he's like, don't move. And that T-Rex is like right fucking there in front of their face. Well, that is tense. That is a tense scene.
When it snorts and his hat flies off, you feel like that fucker's right there. Like that's a living, breathing thing in front of him right now.
Yeah.
And Winston outdid himself. Beautiful. Yeah, that scene's great. I think my favorite scene is probably when Dennis gets eaten by the Dilophosaurus. I mean, that's just get the stick, stupid. Get the stick. I love that the thing doesn't attack him because he's got the hood up and the thing thinks he's a bigger predator. But then the hood drops and he's like, oh, nope, it's lunch. And just that thing scared me more than anything else when I was a kid. The frilled lizard that just goes like, fuck, man, how do you not freak out?
That is a straight up horror scene. Like it spits, and then they even film it when he can't get into the car because he bumps his head because he does the stupid horror movie moment where instead of just getting in the car, he looks back at it like, is it still there? And then he gets sprayed in the face and it's like, yeah, it's still there. It just hit you directly in the face. And then he gets in the car and it's just sitting there looking at him. I'm like, oh, fuck, dude.
Well, first he gets that black sludge blasted into his eyes and he's just screaming. And you could feel that, man. His performance in that scene is so good. You feel the pain and the terror, but also you're like, yeah, you deserve this.
You kind of had this coming, buddy.
Yeah, you suck. And then he gets eaten by the one in the car that was just waiting there quietly for him. I love that. because he left the door open in the rain. Who does that?
And that's why I don't ever leave my doors open.
That's why. Okay.
That was why.
I'm fairly certain that won't happen to you. If it does, well, that's on me then.
We want to find a way to make this happen so I can prove a point now.
At your funeral, like, I never would have thought he'd been eaten by a dinosaur, but wow. That's my eulogy. Like,
And then
who knew?
then just like an Anchorman 2, I'll pop out and be like, yeah, I was just kidding. I'm not dead.
I remember that. Oh. But yeah, Dennis, that scene in the book is so much more vicious. I mean, like freaky vicious. Like the black sludge, he can feel it melting his eyeballs.
Oh, God.
And then the thing in the car like rips his guts open and starts eating him while he's still alive. And he feels it. And it's bad. The book's a straight up horror novel. And I don't think a lot of people know that.
Dear God. Another scene I like a lot is T-Rex round 2, as I like to call it, when they get Goldblum's character and you just send the car and they do it again, the little sound, you see the wall move, and he just must go faster.
I love that he said that again in Independence Day. Yeah, that's a great scene. The scene with the fence always makes me laugh because Dr. Grant is really kind of an asshole. And when he just grabs the fence and is like, ah, and scares the shit out of those kids, like they haven't been through enough. Just read the room, Alan. Come on.
They've established he doesn't want kids, and it's shown numerous times. Yet he gets these kids to safety. He does a really good job getting them safety.
He does, except when he lets Tim get violently electrocuted.
And he really sucked that. He was like, all right, I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm like, you didn't give him any, moment there. You just went straight into the countdown. And he's terrified, dude.
Climb up there and grab him. Be an adult. Be a grown-up. And then Tim takes 10,000 volts. He dies. And he comes back.
The fact that he still lived, I'm like, what the fuck?
That kid, I just, with that and the raptor attack, I don't see him making it to 20. I just don't. I think he's going to have just a massive cardiac event.
And then you get the T-Rex scene, and then when they get out of the car finally, and then the car comes down with them, which I love that line. Hey, we made it out. Well, at least we're back in the car.
And you're forgetting the most embarrassing moment of all this. Tim threw up. And you can't just walk away from something like that. His friends are going to find out.
Being the age I am now, I remember when he said that line, something about it hit me a little bit harder because it was just a childish moment of I threw up. You just got attacked by a T-Rex, and your embarrassing moment was you threw up in a car that got launched over the paddock.
He didn't shit his pants. That is the most terrifying thing that has happened to him thus far, but not the most terrifying thing that's going to happen to him.
And his whole thing was, I threw up. It's all right, Tim, let's just get you out of the car so we can go.
I love that Grant's like, God, Tim, I'm not going to tell anyone he threw up. Just come on. He's tired. He's already done.
Just get out of the car. Come on.
Such a terrible parent. So when, after Ellie puts the power back on, Sam Jackson has disappeared. And she just kind of finds his arm dangling somewhere. And it always makes me think, did the Raptors stash his arm back there for dramatic effect?
Deep down, they're just moving things around. Just to be all right, she's going to go over there. And then when she does, she's going to grab the arm. And then that's when I pop out.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, these fuckers have they're very smart. We learned throughout the franchise just how smart they are. I wouldn't put this past them. Like, just to enhance the fear, I can see them doing that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, you know what's funny? In this entire like series, talking about the whole series, my all-time favorite raptor scene is actually in the second movie. The tall grass scene.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When you get the overhead shot when they're all you see it, and then they're just launching out.
That's terrifying. Yeah, that's a great scene.
Yeah, that like don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of great scenes with them in this movie, but that is probably my favorite moment with Raptors is in the second one.
I think it's because at that point you've had the first movie's worth of buildup on the Raptors, so you know what's about to happen. Fuck yeah. In the final scene when the T-Rex shows up, I always wonder, like, how did he get in there without anyone noticing? Like, it's a shock when he just grabs the raptor, and everyone's like, "What, T-Rex?" That is a 20-ton animal. There's no way it's just sneaking up on you.
It's a 20-ton animal that had two scenes where we heard him stopping and water moving, but then he just like opens the door and like stilts in there. Like it like
has tiptoes.
He's like a teenager that gets home and doesn't want the parents to know that you just had a night out drinking. So he's like tiptoeing through the thing, like they don't see me. It's okay. I'll make it.
It is weird that T-Rex shows up and starts, fucking up the Raptors, almost like, he's telling Dr. Grant, like, get out, I've got this.
I tried to kill you earlier, but you can go now.
No hard feelings, right? Like, it's ridiculous.
We also talk about how the fact that every time you think the characters are like safe, right? Like at the gate scene when they're trying to climb the fence, sorry, and they have the T-Rex roar in the background, like this constant reminder that he's out there.
Great. It's great. I'm way more freaked out by I feel like I can get away from the T-Rex, but those Raptors, they're going to get me.
Yeah. Well, the T-Rex even say it like, don't move. So as long as you don't shit yourself and you can just stand still, you have a chance.
I don't know if I could do it. I'd be shaking too much that he would see me.
Yeah. You could always hide too. He's big enough, you just get into a building and hide.
Creepy stuff. Anything else you'd like to add about Jurassic Park?
Oh man, God.
I mean, we didn't talk that much about Goldblum's sexy pose when he's like healing and he's just like posing for Playgirl over there.
Yeah. I mean, one of the most memorable moments of the movie.
He's in that gif of Dr. Grant like on his belly as it rises and falls. Have you seen that gif?
Look, that was prime 90s Goldblum.
Oh yeah.
You had to have a scene like that.
Yeah, I agree. No complaints here. I just think it's funny that he's just like got his leg fucked up by a T-Rex and that's his heel. It's like his heel pose.
Let me just put my leg in a nice pose, shirt unbuttoned. Do that. If I did that, people would just be grossed out because I'm not in shape. It's just a little bit like little pooch coming out like, you like it? But Goldblum, he can pull it off. In his all black rock scientist attire.
His whole character is like designed for Jeff Goldblum. Like the whole idea of a chaotician who dresses like a rock star and just like laughs his way through everything. Who else do you cast? Here are some Filmgazm facts about Jurassic Park. Number one, Harrison Ford was offered and turned down the role of Dr. Grant as he felt the part just wasn't right for him. After seeing the movie, he says that he had made the right decision. Like $1 billion box office, and he's like, yeah, I didn't want any part of that one. The sour old man. But yeah, you can tell that Dr. Grant was written for Harrison Ford. I mean, he even wears Indiana Jones' fucking hat.
Oh yeah, he does.
It's so clearly for Indiana Jones.
It works though. I'm glad he didn't do it.
I agree. Well, if he had, we wouldn't have gotten The Fugitive. So there we go.
Yeah, and he probably won't be as willing to come back for this the Dominion sequel like Sam Neill is.
Nobody hates franchises more than Harrison Ford. It's amazing. I don't get it. Like, he just despises playing a character more than once.
But he's done it twice.
He's done it many times. I mean, Blade Runner, Jack
Oh.
Ryan. He's done it a couple times. He just bitches the whole time.
God, he's a grumpy old man.
He has been since the 80s. It's crazy. Number 2, there are only 15 minutes of dinosaur footage in the whole movie. 9 minutes are Stan Winston's animatronics, and 6 minutes is industrial lights and magic. That's crazy. There's only 15 minutes worth of dinosaur in this movie.
I've noticed that as I got on, I'm like, wow, there isn't as much dinosaurs in this movie as I remember, but it still works. So you use sparingly enough that it works when you do see them. Because it feels like a moment. It feels like okay, cool, the dinosaurs on screen again. Because they're used so sparingly.
Well, I think it's, Spielberg learned his lesson with Jaws. Less is more. And it works for Jurassic Park. If he hadn't learned that lesson, I wonder what his career would have been like, because he needed to learn that lesson.
He learned, and then he kind of gave us more in the second movie. So,
number 3, Steven Spielberg made $250 million from this movie, the largest sum any individual has made from a single movie, because he took director's salary and percentage points, and he went home with like enough money to swim in.
considering it does so well when they re-release it, he's probably still making money off this movie.
That plus a few of the sequels have been over $1 billion. Like, he doesn't need to work anymore. He just does it because he loves doing it.
Oh yeah.
Number 4, in Return to Jurassic Park, a 2-hour making of documentary released for Blu-ray, Steven Spielberg admits that the shot of the Barbasol can falling away from Nedry and being covered in mud was intentionally inserted to set up a potential sequel. It was not until Michael Crichton released his second book, The Lost World, where Spielberg then realized the story would go in a different direction. So The Lost World had not yet been written when Jurassic Park came out. So he was hoping for a sequel that way, but Lost World came out and he thought, all right, that's where we're going. But that, that's no reason you couldn't come back with part 3 and they find the Barbasol. I don't know. There's been 5 of these things. Still no Barbasol.
Yeah, I get it with the sequel because of the book, but there was 3 more sequels after that with a new one on the way. You don't want to talk about. Not even a throwaway line, maybe.
I mean, it's also been like 30 years. Those embryos are dead.
Oh yeah, and they got covered in that mud crap. So
dinosaurs aren't special to the world anymore, so there's no real reason to make new ones. Yeah, it's pointless now.
Yeah, it's busy making like weird hybrids in the Jurassic World series.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to finally go through with that original idea of dinosaur man hybrids.
Don't, for the love of God, don't.
You don't think the series has jumped the shark yet?
Surprisingly, no. Well, wait, Alan. So,
Alan. You got to say it like that, Alan.
Look, you already did that to me. I do not want what I saw because I saw the concept art for that. No, I don't want it.
Let's talk about the sequels. First up, The Lost World, Jurassic Park from 1997. And I don't like when they when they reverse it, The Lost World first. It should be Jurassic Park, The Lost World. I don't know why that happens. Damien, Omen 2. I hate that shit.
I don't like the title all much. I know a lot of people don't like this sequel. This is a case of nostalgia when it comes to the sequel because, like I told you at the beginning, I pretty much was watching the Jurassic Park and then this one constantly as a kid. So there's a nostalgia factor for me. I actually will defend it. I think it's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. It has a lot of good stuff in it. It does go in a lot more of a horror direction than the first one does. So
I agree. I think it's just, I have my own issues with it. I think that for Spielberg and Williams to both kind of laze it up, it kind of sucks. Goldblum's entire character is completely different from the B and Malcolm we knew in Jurassic Park. He's a lot less, Laffy Taffy, a lot more, rigid. but that could be just because he's dealt with some trauma. I like the whole idea of Hammond's nephew trying to take the company away and starting his own Jurassic Park and stealing the dinosaurs and T-Rex loose in San Diego. I thought that was I like it more than I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see the complaints with it because they do tone down Goldblum. Again, they go on a much darker route than what people probably wanted. But there's a lot of there's so many great moments in that film I like. From Vince Vaughn's character in one of his earlier roles to the T-Rex attack scene is really awesome in that movie.
With the medical lab dangling over the cliff. Yeah, that was dope.
That is an amazing. I love that scene. Again, what I mentioned earlier, that raptor and the tall grass scene is really good. And then the T-Rex attacking San Diego is still an awesome scene to watch.
I think that the characters make some questionable decisions in that. Like Julianne Moore, being a dinosaur expert, should know you don't just steal a T-Rex's baby.
And
Goldblum's daughter defeating the Raptors with gymnastics, I thought was stupid.
That scene does not hold up.
The ultimate one for me is when the T-Rex is walking down a street in San Diego and you see a group of Asian businessmen screaming. That was a bit much.
Yeah.
Spielberg seems above that.
Yeah. Like I said, there is a lot, and there's things I see that are wrong with this, but I do pop it in a lot right after the first one for that nostalgia and for at least the standout scenes that do exist in that movie.
2001, Jurassic Park 3, pretty much the most reviled of the franchise. It's not a terrible watch. It just compared to what came before, it's garbage. And it really doesn't have a third act. It kind of just stops, which is really weird for a movie like this. It's only an hour 20. It's super short. Just kind of shows up with the army about to take on dinosaurs, and then we don't get to see that. Which is lame.
I remember when it came out, I kept watching the trailers. I was really excited. I was like, "Oh my god, Jurassic Park 3!" And I re-rented it, I think from the video store in Blanco. The store's not there anymore. But when it was a video store, we rented it. And I remember being probably the most excited because, again, at that point, my parents were probably pretty fed up with seeing the first two on a loop. And I remember watching it, and all of us at the end just kind of didn't say anything, just took it out, and just kind of walked away. It was like, all right.
This was the only one I had on tape as a kid. And this is the earliest movie I remember going to see at the theaters. I was 6, and this was a couple months before Evolution, which I still have very ingrained in my head. And I saw it with my dad, and I remember thinking, this is boring. And then the pterodactyls in the birdcage scene happened, and I remember thinking that was really cool. That was done really well. That was creepy. That was exciting. And then I remember thinking, oh, the movie's over. Okay, I guess we're going home now. It just stopped. And that was such a weird decision.
It just ends. And then the pterodactyl scene, as great as that scene is, it's infuriating. You're like, oh, here's a really awesome scene. Okay, what about the rest of the movie?
I thought the Raptors looked weird. I don't know why they had fins now or something.
I think I read they were trying to make them more accurate to how Raptors actually, because it's kind of a known fact that Raptors had feathers, and Spielberg took that out of the movie because it would look stupid. But
you know what? It's also not factual. Fucking dinosaurs in the 21st century. So I don't think it matters what they look like.
Yeah. I kind of side with Spielberg. If you're making a movie where dinosaurs are getting brought back to life in modern times, okay, yeah, you can have some liberties with how they look. They don't need to look period accurate. They're dead, so.
Also, all we ever find is fucking bones. How do we know what they looked like?
I'm not a paleontologist, so.
Yeah, I don't care. I think it's I like seeing Dr. Grant now having to reconcile with the fact that dinosaurs exist in his line of work might be obsolete. Him kind of having, being stuck in the past. Ellie's moved on, has a husband and son, and he's just kind of stuck doing the same thing he's always done, except now with this constant shadow of Jurassic Park looming over his shoulder. I wish that had been further explored. I like that idea. I'm sure it will be in the new one. I thought William H. Macy and Tay Leone, that whole thing, I did not like them for the way they manipulated Grant into going to that island. And the Spinosaurus, unnecessary.
Yeah, I remember being a kid and thought the Spinosaurus was cool, but then I got older and I rewatched. So let me watch this, and I rewatched it, and I'm like, that's useless. And I actually really don't like the scene with him and the T-Rex fight, and it kills the T-Rex. I'm like, what are you trying to prove? That this is going to be better than the T-Rex? No, I want the T-Rex.
But then Jurassic World, gets back at that one when the T-Rex slams through the Spinosaurus skeleton and is like, I'm back, bitches. It worked. Indominus Rex, my ass. Like, let's take this. Yeah, it was great. Jurassic World 2015. Long-awaited quasi-reboot sequel thing. Pretty good. I think Jurassic World's not bad.
I actually like nostalgia aside with Lost World. This is my second favorite film in the franchise. As a movie without any nostalgia basis, this is my second favorite. I remember seeing the trailer for it, and they were playing that theme music, and I was like, they kidding me? Came back, and I was like, oh my god. And I remember, it was one of those cases where I remember dragging, I think my mom, she was the only one at home. I was like, you're coming with me to the theater. And I was like the oldest kid in there. Because I was in my 20s, or I was like 2015. Yeah, I was like early mid 20s. So I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, guys, we're about to watch Jurassic World. We're going to see dinosaurs again on the big screen this time. Let's do it. And for the most part, I thought they did a really awesome job with it. I actually thought Indominus Rex was a really cool dinosaur, and the idea of splicing genes together to create new dinosaurs actually was a really cool concept that I thought they explored really well, and a smart way to go with it.
It made sense, when a theme park's numbers start dwindling, they introduce a new exhibit. But how do you do that when your exhibits are living, breathing creatures? And that was smart. The Indominus Rex, a creature that's half T-Rex, half raptor. I mean, Jesus Christ. And I heard there's a theory that they put a little human DNA in there, and that's why it's so smart. And I like that theory. But then the T-Rex fucks that guy up, and I love seeing that giant aqua dinosaur just eat it. Yeah, the final the final 20 minutes of Jurassic World are just so entertaining.
Oh, it's so satisfying. If there's one fault to be had, I know there was that controversy with the nanny, or not the nanny, the chick that got tasked with babysitting. They kind of
was unnecessary.
You watching them, like, you do kind of linger on her death more than anyone's, a little unnecessarily long.
Cool. That should have been Vincent D'Onofrio's death. He's the bad guy.
Yeah. Oh,
or what? That would have been a great death for Dr. Wu.
Yes. I would have been down with that. So I did, I definitely could do a whole episode on Jurassic Park, because I actually do really think that's a really good sequel, and a lot of awesome scenes with the Indominus Rex when it attacks. The whole raptor scene when he's going out on motorcycles and they're going him should be corny as fuck, but it looks really cool somehow.
That and how the Indominus Rex can speak raptor and turns them against the soldiers. That was so cool.
Yeah, I remember sitting there in the theater going, oh shit. Get back to the truck now. And then again, the kids in this one, just like with the first one, are actually pretty likable kids. They did a really good job with the kids.
Apparently, people only send their kids to Jurassic Park if they're going through a divorce. That's just, dinosaurs fix family problems.
Until the park goes to shit.
I think this movie's cool. I'm getting a little tired of Chris Pratt. I'm tired of seeing him play Star-Lord in every single movie. I like that the new one, with the new one, the original 3 are coming back just for a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I like him in this movie, and this came out right before he got too oversaturated. that I can at least like him in this movie. But no, I'm with you. I think he got really because he did this after Guardian. Yeah, he did. It was Guardians of the Galaxy and then this, and then he just was everywhere. I was like, all right, I'm getting kind of tired of seeing you play the same thing. But I do like him in this movie. He does really well with Bryce Dallas Howard.
He's just so annoying though, and I don't know why they keep forcing them to be together. Like they don't have to be together. Like I think it works better if they're not. Like we don't need that.
Yeah, it was fine in the first movie, and then they bring it up again, and I'm like, oh god damn, we're going down this again.
I don't care if two characters whose names escape me don't, hook up at the end of Dinosaur movie. I just don't care. And I don't think anyone does. I don't know why they focus so much energy on that. And that takes us to 2018's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, most recent sequel. I worked this one too at Draft House. I got to see this on an employee screening, and I liked it. It was forgettable, but I did like it.
I'm with you. I liked it. I give Jurassic World the edge out over this one. I think they spent a lot of time with this one. Oddly enough, doing the same thing that Lost World did and going a much more horror approach. And again, the I forget the dinosaur's name, but the one they spliced together in this one was a really cool dinosaur, and it was scary as shit.
No Raptor.
Yeah. I liked it. But I felt like they spent a lot of time with it just being a setup for the one that's coming soon.
I thought it was crazy how they just completely slide the fact that they can clone human beings like under the rug. I mean, you're just going to bring that up and walk away? That is incredibly earth-shattering information.
And see, these things we're talking about when you said this series hasn't jumped the shark. This series has completely jumped the shark long ago. But for the love of God, you're doing enough jumping. Don't jump with clone human dinosaur hybrids. Like the moment I feel like you're getting there when that chick's like, I'm cloned, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I don't know. I thought that Rafe Spall's character was made to be way, way too unlikable, like just the absolute worst shit, that it just felt great to see him get eaten. Same with Ted Levine. I love seeing Ted Levine get his arm ripped off by an Indoraptor. That was great. Yeah, I love that guy in anything I see him in.
I was gonna say, I just love Ted Levine. So as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Ted Levine. We got him.
It is so obvious he's a bad guy from the beginning. Like, just there's so many red flags about everything. The fact he's ripping dinosaurs' teeth out, like that's not our hero.
I don't think he tried hiding it.
He didn't at all.
He was like, I want a Buffalo Bill this for you. Is that okay?
Is that a great big fat dinosaur? Oh my God. I'm just picturing Buffalo Bill on Isla Nublar now. That's in my head forever.
Put the lotion in the skin.
So the movie ends with the dinosaurs being let out into the world. And yeah, that's now where we're at with Dominion, which comes out next year. I think Colin Trevorrow, is he coming back to direct this one?
I want to say it's him, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's coming back. Plot's being kept under wraps. It's supposed to come out this year. Got pushed because of COVID. Now we're getting it next year. And yeah, I think since, Jurassic World was kind of a retread of Jurassic Park, and Fallen Kingdom was a bit of a retread of Lost World, I'm not surprised that Jurassic Park 3 is bringing Alan Grant back to the island. We're back.
As long as it's not retread in quality of Jurassic Park 3, I'll be fine.
Yeah. As long as it's not an hour 20 and just stops, I'll be fine.
And I get another dinosaur looking at Grant going, Alan.
Did you know every Honest trailer since that episode has had that hidden somewhere?
Yes.
God, I love that commitment. I give Jurassic Park a 10. It's a bona fide classic, and it's just a fantastic movie. It always has been.
Yeah, dude, same. It's a 10. This is a movie that to this day, and probably till the day it takes me back. It makes me feel like a child again, and that joy I had when I first saw it, that hasn't gone away. at the age of 28. And yeah, this is a perfect film for me. I love this film, as I've said numerous times. Can't wait to show it to more people if I ever have a family. So
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Next week, in case you haven't caught the many hints I've been laying throughout this episode, we're going back to my childhood for the film that scared me so much that I have nightmares about it to this day. I've talked about it many times on this show. It's time to do a full episode. The weirdest part is it's not even a horror movie. It's a sci-fi comedy from 2001. When two college professors stumble onto proof of alien life, they become thrust into a military effort to destroy the alien life forms that are evolving at a highly accelerated rate. From director Ivan Reitman, next week's film is 2001's Evolution, starring David Duchovny, Orlando Jones, Seann William Scott, and Julianne Moore. Sure to be cathartic and hilarious, so don't miss it. Yeah, I'm hoping I may be able to finally unravel just what it is about this movie that fucked me up.
or it just breaks you.
Well, I might break down and cry next week. I don't know.
This episode turns into the raving lunatics of a madman.
Might be the episode that just breaks me and the podcast is over. Or at least my time on it is, because I can't speak anymore. I'm just getting put in a padded cell just going, it's a monkey! Like just freaking out.
Don't let them tell me where you're at, because I'm going to bring a fake blue monkey all the time.
I've had so many friends say they're going to do that to me after I announce that after I tell them about this, they're like, I'm totally going to dress up as a blue monkey. And I'm like, I want to be like, fuck you. I confided in you. I thought you were cool. And then they say that shit. And I'm like, oh.
I'm finding a blue monkey now. If I'm on the episode, just saying.
Nobody I've ever known has understood. So maybe I can use this episode to finally explain my side of this thing. Don't miss She Done Him Wrong on Oscar Sunday. Nobody on the sneak preview and whatever the Giggle guys are cooking up for Friday. Until then, don't go to Dinosaur Island. Never breed velociraptors. And don't piss off the IT guy. See you next Wednesday and keep watching movies.